All right, welcome back to All Hitches, Nova's #1 football podcast. Coach Mesa, greetings to you, buddy.
Oh,
Greetings.
that's a fine mug you had. I have one as well, but it is currently upstairs. Because I put mine in a special place on our shelf, is what I did.
Good place to have it.
It's right there on the mantle, right there. Got a
Beautiful.
little bit like a Fabergé egg in a movie starring Tom Cruise and Rebecca De Mornay.
Did you notice the odd placement of the logo? It should be here if I hold my mug, but it's here. But I kind of like here. I say cheers.
There you go. That's what that is.
Right, I can show you the thing. Cheers.
Yeah. Now, as you drink, then it goes away.
Yeah. To a merch store near you.
Oh, there you go.
In the new year, you will see all types of cool items in our merch shop.
We have some plans. I mean, we'll see what happens.
All types of things happen. You could be a $600 millionaire in the near future.
You could be the big lottery, $612 million.
612.
All right. You win $612 million. What is the first luxury thing that you buy? I mean, obviously you're like, oh, I'll take my family. What was the first thing you're like, that's the thing I'm buying that I currently cannot afford?
Luxury item, you mean, right? Luxury item.
I mean,
actually, that's easy. I've thought about this before. Cars, lots of, because you can go and buy a car right away. I mean, unless you get it custom.
Yeah.
But aside from any, and again, $600 million. Aside from any custom vehicles that I might order, I'm going to the lot, right? And I'm getting some whatever they got. What do you got in the lot? Ferrari dealership. What do you got? Just give me that one then. I'm getting because a vehicle you can buy on the spot, which is cool.
Yeah.
So many other items you got to wait.
I'm curious, with no financing, I don't know what buying a car is like. Do you just hand them a check and they hand you the keys and you leave?
Yeah, it's not that simple. I actually did that last time I bought a car.
Oh, okay.
And believe it or not, it still took time. It was the worst. Buying a car still sucks, no matter what you do.
I think so. I think the thing I'd buy, and maybe I'd word this wrong. I am buying a graded 10 Hulk 181, first appearance of Wolverine. I'm buying a giant size X-Men #1, a graded too. Like I want like
go to the comic shop and buy these that day.
Yeah, no, but I want like the graded ones. You know what I mean? Like the ones where like it's like in the case.
Yeah.
So I have a graded Flash versus Superman, the first ever race Flash versus Superman.
Okay.
I think that's what I end up buying. I think I end up buying like those kind of things. Maybe the Magic Bird rookie card with the Dr. J in the middle.
Yeah.
I think I buy some of those.
Wow, look at you! You're buying all types of collectibles. Buy a Michael Jordan signed basketball. My brother's got a Michael Jordan signed basketball.
Oh, does he really?
They're hard to get, man. You got to get it from Upper Deck. Upper Deck has
so because obviously I collect a lot of things. Another thing that's really rare on the list is to buy a Cassius Clay autograph.
Yeah.
The Muhammad Ali would use have, but you can get sometimes, and if you get him Cassius Clay signed, that's worth.
He kicked Joe Lewis's ass. I just had to say that when you said Cassius Clay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, crazy day. In sports and stuff. You got fantasy playoffs everyone's getting their fantasy playoff invitations.
I was eliminated a long time ago.
There's fictitious bowl games being maybe thrown out there. The All Hitches Bowl. So we might be hosting the All Hitches Bowl, sponsored by the Believe Network.
So that's not the first time I've heard of like an end of the season bowl game. Oddly enough, in I want to say 97, Pauley was undefeated and Concord de la Salle was undefeated. They're #1, #2 in the nation, and this is the Pauley team that ends up losing in their region championship game. There was a talk of a businessman who was going to host a bowl game between those two teams.
Mm.
So that had been I think Maurice Jones-Drew was on that Concord team.
Yeah, it could happen.
It could happen.
You never know. But let's wait and see. My biggest issue with even talking about that is I want to see what happens this week first before we get into all that. Hypothetical, right? I mean, I'll be happy to talk about that. And plenty of time in the offseason to talk about all types of fictitious matchups. And speaking of which, we have a special guest joining us just a few minutes, huh? You want to talk about that a little bit?
Oh yeah, Matthew Hatfield coming in from Virginia Rivals.
The man does everything.
Yeah.
He's
the voice of the Lady ODU women's basketball team, correct?
Yeah, yes, he is. Yes, he is. I mean, let's be honest. He's the Bo Jackson of Virginia coverage of all things.
Yeah, so we're excited to have him on, talk a little about the 757, which you and I don't know very much about.
And we've had people tell us that, and we said, you know what, you're right, because we're just humble men of the people. So we said, let's bring in the expert, the greatest expert.
Yeah. So we'll have him on hopefully in a few minutes to help us kind of help you guys in Northern Virginia learn about who Oscar. I mean, you know who Oscar Smith is, but we don't know who Oscar Smith is, right? I mean,
Right.
We've heard rumors, we've seen highlights.
Right.
I've tried to watch some of them, and I guess when we break down the game, I'll talk a little more about it. But I mean, they don't look like they're not a ham and egger.
No,
You know?
far from a hand and egg.
They're not a jobber. They're not a Barry Horowitz patting themselves on the back.
No, no, they're far from that. I mean, you're talking about Oscar Smith. You're talking about, if it's in wrestling terms, which we love wrestling. You're talking about superstar Billy Graham coming through there. You're talking about Bruno Sammartino, the living legend, coming through there.
Yeah. Do you know? I did not know this that Don with the Rock Rocco was on Hulk Hogan's team for the first Survivor Series, but he was
but yeah, Don Morocco became good. He became a good guy for
but he was a replacement at the last minute. As a matter of fact, you wouldn't have known this. I didn't watch the pay-per-view. I was not wealthy enough to watch pay-per-views at the time, but
black box is all you need.
On the box, you see them all lined up. Then Don the Rock Rocco looks out of place, like a really bad Photoshop. And I guess because the reason was because it was supposed to be superstar Billy Graham, but at the last minute his hip got hurt. He hurt his hip.
That's right. That's right.
They had to make a replacement, and they put him in there.
Yeah, no, I knew that. And they were working out together. They were both enlarging their traps. They both had really big traps. They got bigger and bigger every episode. But yeah, we're excited to kind of break down Oscar Smith. We watched the Colonial Forge. I watched a little bit of the Colonial Forge game. Yeah. Just watching some of their guys, watching their quarterback and their receivers and their corners. I mean, just impressive stuff.
Oh, there he is. There he is.
There he is, the man, the myth, Mr. Hatfield. Welcome aboard, sir.
Hey guys, good to be with you. How you been?
Doing well. We're doing well. We were at work today because we have to go to work apparently, and we got to talk with one future Hall of Famer coach, Doug Craig, and he must have sang your praises for about 15 minutes about how he thought you were one of the best individuals he's ever met. You would, and I'm not lying. He sat there and just talked you up like you would not believe.
He said, "I love Matthew Hatfield. That's a great man." So you know what? And he didn't know we had you on. He was saying that naturally. He did not know that you were going to be on the show today.
That's
and I
funny.
said, "Well, Doug,
that's awesome."
Yeah, I said, we got a story for you, Doug. We're going to have him on the show, buddy. So now Doug will be tuning in later this evening to watch this.
That's good. Doug's an awesome dude, and I'll tell him the check's in the mail for saying all the good things about him.
I know your background is the Bay Area. Do you have connections to San Francisco, or you just have that? That's the one you have.
No, I just had that for the background today. I have different ones. That's where I'm at for
Yeah, nothing wrong being right there. That's right across the bridge. San Francisco's in the. Well, anyway, I could get in talking about the.
Well, are you kidding me? I mean, we have Mr. 757. We were just talking your praises before you came on. And we have Virginia Preps, Rivals, ODU women's basketball, organized Virginia Preps Classic. Again, Farmville Herald, Suffolk News, 757 Sports Talk. I can go on and on. I mean, it was seriously, we're fans, and you do great work.
Appreciate that. You guys do awesome work as well. And like you with jobs, I have about 15 different hats that I wear. So I don't get a lot of sleep this time of year, especially when I have my 8-year-old niece running around the house wanting snacks when she gets home from school. So that's even more tiring.
Yes. Let me ask you, for you, what is a busier time? Because it's different kinds of busy, right? Football and basketball. Sure. We were just talking about this today with Coach Craig. There's so many games every week. And then now you got the college basketball as well. So what's a crazier time of year for you?
This is the craziest. Once you get to about Thanksgiving weekend, and you guys know it, region championship for football, and then the overlap starts for me where you have basketball, football, try to balance both, and then you can't appease either side. The football coaches want to know, why aren't you doing more on them? And then the basketball coaches say, where's all your basketball material? So it's a lose-lose. And then I'd say the second busiest is in terms of us for a website and our following and our coverage is probably that's number one is football championship weekend is our best week. And number two would be the state basketball tournament week would be next to that. I'd say where I can kind of exhale and enjoy the most of it all is summertime when I can get in the pool come June or July, but also let's go to some off-season events, be it some camps, be it some leagues, be it some little bit of both football, basketball. I am a big baseball fan, but they said, why don't you do more on high school baseball? I said, because with football and basketball, as you guys know, it's year round with recruiting now, the stories you have to cover, coaching changes, all the different things that we have. We have some people that do that with us in Virginia Preps correspondence wise, but as far as the offseason goes, that's where you kind of get some different stories that are, keep you relevant, but also can exhale and breathe a little bit too.
Yeah, you need that time to recharge, right? You need that time. Yeah. And I think you and I have something in common, actually. I noticed you took some dips in the pool and you did some shows in the pool over the summer. And you have a pool at home?
No, it's funny you say that. People ask me all the time. So one of my neighbors who is a diehard ODU, Austin Washington football team fan, he and his wife, they go out of town and they ask me to watch their house, but they say you are more than welcome to use the pool, watch everything. So I kind of get some pool permissions, if you will, pool handling for about, usually it's about a month. They go out for 2 different sets of 2 weeks. So that's kind of my time to dip in. And it's awesome to get that, to recharge the batteries, like you said, because without that, you end up going crazy.
That is amazing. You're like Axel Foley in Beverly Hills Cop 2 using the, in his uncle's house. That is fantastic.
Well, and my co-host, Coach Young, if you listen, he's always calling the police saying he's breaking into these people. So he goes off on tangents. So, but now he's the retired coach, no longer coaching after he coached for 30 plus years basketball, high school and college ranks. We did radio together. Now we do podcasts together, and I give him a hard time. He gives it back to me in more ways than one. So yeah,
that's fantastic. That's fantastic. Well, let's get into it. We got a busy week, and I know you got some stuff to do later on. Let's get into this big one. Oscar Smith, we're just comparing them to, we do a lot of wrestling comps, and over the last 10, 15 or so years, I feel like they really are. They're the living legend. They're Larry Zbyszko. I mean, they've been, Madison has seen a lot of things. They haven't seen Oscar Smith. So, what do you think overall, before we get into the questions, what's your overall kind of just thoughts on the game firsthand?
Yeah, I thought aside from Hatfield, whether they be in or out, the 3 teams that were the most capable of getting to this spot as far as winning the championship all year long were Oscar Smith out of Region A, Madison out of Region D, and then out of Region B, Battlefield. Battlefield got knocked out early, surprisingly, unexpectedly, by a team that was familiar with them in their district. But you go back to a few years ago, they played at Old Dominion. Oscar Smith won that game 42-17. And while Justin Counts has done a remarkable job at Madison, I felt like they were kind of starting building to those big game moments. They had some battles with South County, Westfield, of course. That Concord's always kind of been run by either Centerville, Westfield, now Madison. And I didn't feel like they were ready for those big games yet. I think these last couple of years, Madison has proven they're more equipped to play in these big games, meet the moment, and have a chance to win it. Oscar Smith, the last couple of years, after winning those 2 championships during the COVID year and then that fall, they're not the same team from 3 years ago. That team was a more seasoned team with Ethan Vasco and Kevon King and a great defense. They have a great defense this year, but some of their better players are younger guys. They got knocked out the last 2 years in the region semifinals. And it felt like from people around the Smith community and in the 757 that Smith was building towards next year to make its big year to win the championship, thus that maybe they've arrived a little earlier than expected. I feel like this game is going to be a tight game, fellas. I don't think this will be a blowout. A lot of people in the Smith corners think they will win it easily, like the 42-17 game a few years ago. I don't. I do give Smith a couple more advantages than I do Madison. However, I would caution and say this game does remind me a little bit of Smith's 2019 title game with South County. And you remember South County had perhaps the 2 best players on the field that day with Zion Dane and Mr. Spalding. We've seen both Spalding brothers do great things, Brock and Dylan at SoCo. I think Madison has maybe the best guy on the field in this game in Dominic Nicely. However, I do look at what Madison does offensively, and I wonder if with some of the things with their run game, go I formation, some power toss, and they do the double tights, I don't know if that's going to work against Smith's defense and if they have enough of a passing attack. They only have one guy with more than, I think, 13 catches on the year, which is Nicely, by the way, who's a triple threat, running it, catching it in special teams. I do think that Madison's defense, though, with so many good players at each layer of their defense, can keep Smith's offense in check. And people look at the score last week with Smith and Colonial Forge, they say they blew him out. I was a 14-7 game before the half, and Forge elected to go for a touchdown, not a field goal. So a little bit of a misleading final. Smith has good playmakers on offense, but if the O-line does not give Lonnie Andrews the third a lot of time, and they can't get some one-on-one shots with Travis Johnson, their big-time stud 2026 wide receiver who is a great player, a lot of deep shots, I don't see them going super explosive and putting up a lot of points at will in this defense. So I think this is a game that could be played in the 20s, and it could be decided in the early to middle part of the fourth quarter.
So I had a question. So we had heard, and I've got a chance to go really deep dive on Oscar Smith. Obviously, I was trying to get into these 30 teams up here has been kind of tough, but I've heard Oscar Smith's run defense is the real deal. So I was trying. So it's really weird down there. Not a lot of people put their stats on Max Preps. So like I was trying to research and stuff like that, and I couldn't find a lot. But it seems like they held Highland Springs. So according to what anything I found is they held them like 30 yards rushing, which Highland Springs, just based off of what I've seen, looks pretty explosive. Looks like they've got some dudes playing there. And so
there you go. I got the stat right here. My stat sheet said they had 27 rushes for 33 yards in that game.
Yeah, so
right on the money.
It was accurate. So I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about kind of what makes their run defense so good, which is a real problem for Madison because Madison hangs their hat on being able to run the football.
A great question, Dan. I think what makes them so good is, a couple years back when they had Caleb Jones on the defensive line, they have a guy that you got to be able to double block or you're in trouble. He could just blow up the whole middle, which, as you guys know, with your coaching background, that can change the whole thing. It's not one guy on this defense. They have 8, 9, 10 guys that all rally to the ball. They have a couple freshmen. Isaiah Bray's one of them. Lennox Williams is a second-team all-region guy as a freshman, who's another one. Their linebackers are solid. They've had better name linebackers over the years. You guys go back to 2008. Perry Jones, who now is an assistant coach at William & Mary, who played at UVA, and Gerard Askew, who went to Tennessee. They don't have those level of recruits, but they have solid players. Jordan Rayner makes good tackles. Malachi White. They all rally to the ball so well and fly, swarm like bees. And it feels like their assignments are played to a crisp. And even their secondary, they have guys that will come up and hit you. Jaden Dabbs, their safety's going to Army. Jamari Deloach is sort of an undersized corner, but he is fast as can be, blazing. He's got flipped from Cincinnati to Virginia Tech as a signing. And then the other corner, Jaden Koval, younger brother of Sherrod Koval, who was at Clemson, just put his name in the portal. He's had a breakout year, getting a couple of interceptions in their big win over Nansemond River. So it's not really one guy, and they have guys coaching them up that I think they really relate well to each other. Giovanni Simmons, who played for Coach Scott at Ocean Lakes, went to UVA, was an All-American in high school. Eli Harold, who played at UVA, also played for Coach Scott at Ocean Lakes, went to the NFL, played with some teams like the Lions and the 49ers. They have this real deep connection and bond. And they have a lot of changing in and out personnel packages. So I think what makes their defense so tough to run on is you can have a guy sub in and out for a couple plays. There's not a real drop-off where you say attack this spot. I think Madison's going to have to get creative with their run game, move nicely around, but also use that fullback. They've been using the fullback a little bit more. They've used a couple other backs in there as well. It can't just be nicely because I think Smith is going to say they're going to come in with the mentality of we're not letting one guy beat us. Yeah. That's their mentality.
Yeah. But let me ask you about Deloach. That was high praise you gave nicely. Now, we watched Hatfield a lot this year. And we saw the way they used, Overton defensively, and they would use him to just shadow other teams' best players. Are they going to use Deloach in a role like that just to kind of have him shadow someone like Nice, or that's not how they use him?
I don't think so. It's a good question, but I think what they're going to do is they're going to stay true to their scheme. Some teams will play a different 4-2-5, 3-4. They're going to stay true to what they are. They might mix up a couple things with coverages and some packages, blitz here, blitz there. But I don't think they're going to go with the spy on one guy and just try to follow him with one guy because, again, their defense isn't really predicated on that or built on that. Now, what they might end up doing is if Nicely rips off a couple big runs, I could see them deciding we're going to send multiple guys in his direction. And now it's going to force somebody else, those complementary second and third receivers, those second and third guys in the running back department, to have to make plays in this game. I think Madison's going to be in a situation, guys, where we're looking at it. It's 3rd and 4, it's 2nd and 8, it's 2nd and 6. Who's going to be that step-up guy? They've had some guys like you go back to Yates's little brother, or older brother, I should say, when he was playing there, Cordy Yates. He'd be that guy to make a big play from the pass game. Who's that other receiver besides Nice that'll go make a play? Can Matthew Weiler and Jack Ricciardo, can they make some plays running the ball in between the tackles against the Smith defense? Because nobody's really run on them, between the tackles. It's going to be hard to do it. So if they get that other guy to step up, and it could be something that I'm sure Justin Counts and his staff are looking at going to work here, saying, who's that player we haven't shown? Maybe we've saved him on defense some, and we throw him into this game. There's always a wrinkle or two that these championship level coaches have. It could be Coach Counts for Madison. It could be Chris Scott and his staff on defense for Smith, that there's a guy we haven't seen on film for 10, 12, 13 games, and all of a sudden he's part of the game plan.
Yeah, I agree as far as trying to attack that defense, and that you kind of confirmed it. I really do think this game's going to come down to for Madison two sides of the ball. It's going to come down to Yates on offense. He's got big plays, and then it's going to be on Madison's front to get pressure on that quarterback. So I watched some of the film today on with Oscar Smith, and if you give their quarterback time to throw the football, it's a wrap, because you can't run with both those kids. If you give him 3-4 seconds to just sling it deep, I mean, they just go running right past. I mean, you'll see what I was watching Colonial Forge. They're off coverage. They've got a cushion, but if they can't get to the quarterback, eventually he breaks that cushion, and then once he's hip to hip with you, he's gone. You just don't have a choice. So I really do think kind of what you're saying, that offensively, Yates is gonna be huge as far as being able to make plays, and I think defensively, getting to that quarterback, like you said, making him uncomfortable. If they can't make him uncomfortable, he's gonna have a pretty big night.
And to follow that point, one of the things I would say about the 7-5-7 teams in the championship round, the history, the prestige of these 7-5-7 teams, and the athleticism they produce, all these guys on their next level, whether we're talking about Phoebus now or Morey or Oscar Smith, Lake Taylor in the past, the teams that have given them the most trouble are teams that have quarterbacks who can make plays with their feet and extend it out of the pocket. So if Cale Yates comes into this game and there's a 3rd and 8 play, and he's able to go scramble around and get 11 yards and extend a drive, that's the difference between getting 3 or 7 or having to punt the ball, and that can change it in a lower scoring, one-score type of game. I feel like, and go back to that Holland Springs game you referenced earlier, Dan. I mean, they had 33 yards rushing. 32 of it was by the Army commit and quarterback Nelson Lane. So most of your running yards are going to have to be probably by him. I mean, I know Nicely is the guy that's their stud, 2,000+ all-purpose yards, but there's going to have to be some times where the quarterback just makes some plays, some improvised plays that you don't script up. It's just sailing out top of football, because that's how you can demoralize a defense that's coming back, pinning its ears, thinking, we got you, we're getting behind the crowd, coming after you. And now they have to say, we have to stop you again. You see it a lot of times on NFL Sundays or college football Saturdays, having that quarterback. Take the SMU quarterback the other day against Clemson. They got back in the game because he was making plays with his feet to extend those on 2nd and 3rd down. So Madison in this game, if they're able to convert 3rd downs with their quarterback getting out of the pocket, that could really make the Smith defense have to go to what's plan B, C, D.
Yeah, and talking about Nice a little bit, I'm curious if Madison will consider doing this. So when I was in California, Holly was in the region championship, I guess, and Deshaun Jackson was on that team. And for the championship game, they put Deshaun Jackson at corner, because I think Jeremy Childs was playing for La Salle at that time. And they said, okay, we're going to take our best guy, even though he hadn't played corner all year, and we're going to be like, okay, you and him one-on-one, let's get after it. Now, I'm curious if Madison might do something similar, right? I mean, obviously they have 2 stud receivers out there. If they're thinking about maybe having Nicely, I mean, this is it, right? This is Nicely's last high school football game. If they an option of putting him out there and be like, okay, we can't, live or die. We got to be able to put our best guy out there. And I mean, in spot situations,
he's played some defense this year.
Has he played some defense this year?
Defense this year.
So I mean, I'd imagine this week he's gonna get a full load. Is my guess.
It's something that could happen. I would think, though, they would be better off saving him and seeing how the flow and tenor of the game goes. If they hit you with 2 big pass plays early with Travis Johnson, the other receiver you mentioned, Alvin Trey Jones, who's going to Buffalo, he had almost 100 yards receiving against Highland Springs, and he's a very speedy, shifty guy that can hit you over the middle with crossers and getting in space, going east-west. If they hit a big play either vertically or over the middle, that could be something they look at as the game goes on. But I think going in, the feeling is there's going to be more concerns about not so much can Madison's defense hold up and stop Smith's offense, but can they generate enough on the offensive side to be in this game, get an early lead, and have a chance, because you don't want Smith getting that full momentum. If you look at Smith, and I brought this up to Coach Chris Scott, we were talking on the field in pregame before the Highland Springs game, I think, or it might have been another game, might have been a regular season game, I forget. I said, you look at your results this year, and this is true for Smith, and it might be true to an extent for Madison. They've had those 2 close calls with Westfield. Other than that, they've won a lot of games comfortably. Smith hasn't had a full 4-quarter game. So there's going to be a point in this game, early or late, where you have an opportunity on them the way that their results have shown to this point. So I'm curious to see if Smith has that game where offensively they put it all together. It seemed to be coming for them in a couple of games, and it didn't really happen. But this is the time they want it to happen because they have the weaponry to do it. Again, a lot of their better guys are sophomores and juniors. They don't have as many senior guys that are headliners on this particular team.
Yeah.
Matt, talking about their schedule, you brought that up earlier, some of their opponents. And I'm not familiar in either basically with some of these teams, but some of the closer games, the two, right? There was just two, Indian River and who was the other? Kings Fork. Those two teams, I don't know anything about those teams. Their style of play, now that sounds like maybe they had a mobile quarterback there, but aside from that, were their style of play like a ground and pound type team similar to Madison or not at all?
No, the one that would be closest to like that to an extent would be someone like a Nansman River, who, if you look at that score, was 35-0, but it was scoreless at the half, which goes back to a little bit what I was just saying. It was scoreless at a half. Smith had 2 fumbles in the red zone, which was by their running back and Brendan Nesbitt, who's now cleaned that up since. He's been great, had 3 rushing touchdowns against Springs. He and Tajay Curtis are sort of a thunder and lightning to go back to the old Ron Dane, Tiki Barber days of the Giants. They have the 1-2 punch in the backfield. But they've had uneven quarters. That Indian River game was a weird game. They jumped on them, but then they kind of leveled off in the third quarter and they finished up strong. But it was not a game where they got total separation from a team that last year they had to beat on a last-second touchdown pass to avoid overtime from Andrews, then a freshman, to Johnson at the time a sophomore. He's now a junior. So they've been in some battles. That Southeastern District gets you prepared. There's more, I would say, more pro-style, spread-out type stuff. Indian River does a little bit of spread stuff. So there's not as many I-form, line it down your throat and just ram it. So they're going to see a different adjustment in that regard. But the way that this Smith defense is built, the strength, the size, the speed, I don't think they're going to be intimidated by it at all. And again, I think their mindset's going to be, we're not letting one guy get off, because the guy that's most comparable in terms of production from the running back spot would be the kid at Kings Fork, Javon Ford, who signed with Towson. And he's had over 4,000 yards in his career rushing. He had a big game last year when they beat Smith. Again, these kids were freshmen and sophomores last year. He ran the ball like 43 times for 200-plus yards. This year, he was bottled up to an extent. And then in the second half, he got a lot of his yards of about 115 yards on the ground. So, again, when will those yards come from nicely in Madison? Will it be early in the game to establish the flow, or will it be late trying to catch back up? That's going to be a lot. So some of the numbers could be misleading in that regard.
Indian River was 22-7, correct? Was that the final 22-7? Was that the one?
That sounds about right. I believe so. Yeah.
22-6. Yeah.
How were they able to keep the score that close for that long with those guys?
It's interesting. Smith was able to block a kick in that game, but River, what they did was when they ran the ball effectively and chewed some clock, they had a good flow to them. But I think when they tried to force it and they had some penalties that put them back and had to throw, they had trouble getting it done in that game. So really, their quarterback was mobile, kid named Cam Kirby that transferred to Indian River as a junior now from Bayside, and he gets to the edge well. But Rivers receivers didn't get a lot of separation throughout the night, and they had a couple chances. They drove into Smith territory, and those drives bogged down. So Madison can move the ball a little bit, but again, it's going to be those money downs. Can you get third down conversions? The utilization of the tight end and fullback. You guys, I'm sure you love it. It's throwback, it's old school football. Use the tight ends, use the fullback, because teams that have, I go back to when Centerville beat Smith in a championship years ago. If you can be physical and match that physicality, it's something that John Brown from Colonial Ford told me last week before our game. Says the whole game boils down to, can we match their physicality? And Madison is a team that's known for physicality. I don't think they're worried about that. It's going to be a matter of offensively, can we convert when we have to against a defense that is very aggressive? They have an athleticism edge against just about everybody they play, and they want to come at you full throttle. If you get those plays, you hit the fullback, the tight end, whatever it might be, the waggle play, and it converts that 3rd and 6, 3rd and 8. Now you've got them, maybe not so much reeling, but on their heels a bit like, now we have to stop them again for 3 more plays.
Yeah. I know we talked a little about it on Saturday. I really do think we do it. I think we need to find more ways to get teams from Northern Virginia and teams from the 757 to play each other during the regular season. You can't see these teams the first time in the championship game. I mean, you've got to give yourself an opportunity to be like, okay, let me see apples to apples what this looks like. Not necessarily Oscar Smith and Madison, but go down there and kind of, at least you can give yourself a gauge, because it's hard to look at a film and be like, I don't know anything about this team, so I don't know, are they good? Are they bad? I mean, you have some things. So I do think hopefully we can strike in these teams and kind of go across the state a little bit.
100%. It's funny you said that, because I'll give you a quick story. So years ago, when Westfield basketball beat Woodside in the state semifinals, and they beat Oscar Smith the next round of this championship, that's when they had Tyler Scanlon. You remember him, 2-sport football, basketball star, Blake Francis at guard. I was actually staying at the same hotel that Westfield's team was, and Doug Yule, then the basketball coach, came up to me and says, "You know what? It was a blessing in disguise. That year, they were scheduled to come down and play in our Virginia Preps basketball classic against Woodside, a team that had two Division I studs in Chris Orlina and Devontae Carter. It got snowed out." He said, had they played us during the season and played us again, it might have given them a chance to scout and know more what we did. The outcome might have went in our favor. So that was interesting to hear him say that to me. But it's one of those things where I'm with you totally. You want to see those styles of football. I think it's advantageous for both the Tidewater teams and the Nova teams to see, because it's different brands of football. Let's be honest, it's known out there. Both types of football are also officiated differently, so you get used to how their games are called. And I think it would be so much more beneficial because let's be honest too, they also get tired of playing the same old teams. So I'm with that totally, to see more teams play each other. If not even in a game, do a scrimmage, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, because who came up to Hatfield this year?
It was Warwick from Newport News.
Yeah. They came up there, which.
And I think it helped them because Warwick's best player guys broke his leg in the offseason. Messiah Delhomme, 4-star, who's going to Maryland. And I think it helped them realize, because he played both ways, running back, defensive back, some of those kids having to fill more reps at those positions. Now we get to see what they're like against a team full of athletes and speed.
Right.
Yeah. Hey, I know, Matt, you got some stuff going on. You got some things happening. Anything, like, I know we have a primarily Nova audience, but anything you want to talk about real quick before you go?
No, I just think everybody appreciate the great football we got. I mean, it's so cool to see this time of year, state championship Saturday. You see these teams that get rewarded for all their blood, sweat, and tears, regardless of what happens on the field in these 6 title games from Class 6 down to Class 1. Enjoy the moment. Savor this if you're the kids and the coaches, because it is special. It's not guaranteed every year. Sometimes we take it for granted as fans and media and coaches and players that it's going to happen every year. But enjoy this, because you'll look back on this years from now and just realize just these great memories and moments that you had. And I hope we get to celebrate more of these championship games like this, be it 757 versus Nova, Richmond, Fredericksburg, Southwest Virginia. It's really cool to see. And then also to have these venues like Liberty and JMU and out in Salem get a chance to host. It's been rotated for years. We've had it at UVA, Virginia Tech, Old Dominion. So even Hampton University's hosted it before. It's really cool. But it's one of those weekends I look forward to every year. And hopefully we'll get some good finishes.
Yeah.
Well, no doubt.
It was great having you. I'm glad we were able to link up. I mean, I can watch it live every now and then. I'll jump into your live sometimes on the weekend. You guys do great work, and yeah, we're really appreciative that you came on with us.
Likewise, keep up the great work, fellas, and we'll talk again down the road.
All right. Thanks a lot, Matt. We'll see you next time.
You bet.
All right. Well, that was the incomparable Matthew Hatfield. Honestly, the best in the business. If you're talking about Virginia, the state of Virginia, right? Yeah. In high school sports, I don't think anyone does it better. State of Virginia, no one does it better.
And where else are you going to find a better breakdown of the game?
No, you ain't going to find a better breakdown than that. No, because you just got the best 757 has to offer right there.
Yeah.
And now you're about to hear the best that 703 has to offer right here. Right here.
Is Carl coming on? Is that?
Maybe. Now, I'm trying to get Carl. Some people have day jobs, Mesa. Some people have day jobs.
Yeah, I know, because I was just hanging on your office. That's all. That was great intel. Yeah. I mean, breaking down the Kings River, Kings Fork, Indian River,
Vienna Fingers, whatever that was. I like a good Vienna Finger cookie. Look, whatever that was, whatever the school name was, doesn't matter. The score was close. He broke it down. That 0-0 game at halftime.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive. I did not realize
that was a team most similar to Madison.
Yeah,
most similar to Madison was that 0-0 at halftime. I don't know, buddy.
I did not realize Oscar Smith was that young though. Holy smokes, they were freshmen and sophomores. They're only sophomores and juniors this year.
Yeah, that's going to be something to talk about next year, right? Next year for whoever comes out of Nova then.
All right. We got to talk. I think we're talking about the game. Are we going to make our picks now? Is this what we're doing?
No, I want to talk a little about the game actually, because that was a lot of that. That was, we were very heavy on because of our special guest. I think we were very heavy on 757 and asking good questions. I think you and I need to talk about the other way. We need to talk about Madison.
Okay.
And what we see Madison doing against that team.
Well, I'll just kind of reiterate, and I really do think it's not very difficult, and I kind of like a type on thing. I talked about with Matt on there. It's going to come down to offensively, Cale Yates. You know, there's going to be a lot of pressure on him, right? He said right now, Oscar Smith's run defense.
Pressure. He can handle pressure.
He does. You know, no. I'm saying though, but it's gonna come down. I think it's gonna come down to him because it sounds like Oscar Smith's run defense is stellar, right? I mean, he said it right. And also it's gonna come down to his coach Counts and those guys coming up with creative ways to get Dom Nicely the football in space, right? I mean, finding him, they love the motion, which I think is going to work well for them, right? And I think, oddly enough, Coach Dash was always big on this. Don't put your same guy in the same place all the time. Put him all over the place, which I think you're going to see offensively as well. I mean, that's where I think it's going to be. It's going to come down to Yates help leading the offense because Dom Nicely is going to be their focus. Let's call it what it is, right? He is going to. Where's one? They've got a ton of speed there. So I think it's going to come down offensively for them with Yates. And defensively, can they get to that quarterback? Because if you don't get to that quarterback, you just can't cover those kids for that long. Madison's got great defenders. They've got a great defense. I've talked about them all year. But when you have elite players like that, you have 2 Division I guys on the outside. I mean, you see in the NFL, right? You see in the NFL all the time. You give a quarterback too much time to go, and these guys are all pros. Eventually, especially when you have talented guys, they're just going to get open. You don't have so can they get home? Can they get the kind of pressure that they got against Braddock against Oscar Smith, which from what I saw protects pretty well. They've got some pretty good protection. But Madison is hard nosed and they get after it. So that's where I think this game breaks down. I think can those two sides can Jackson Ambrose have a 3-set game, right? Can he have a 3-set? Can he come up big that way? And then
right. Yeah, no, I agree with you. Now there's a couple the X factors, and Matt brought up a couple of them, right? Will someone like Riccadello be, can he have a big day carrying the football? He had 2 touchdowns last week, right? Will there be an X factor that steps up outside of Nicely? That's the first thing. I mean, quarterback play aside, right? Yeah. Will there be an X factor? Second thing, X factor plays, right? They almost lost the Westfield games because of special teams.
Yeah.
Right? Well, they won the first Westfield game because of special teams. Dom Nicely had the big return. Yeah. They beat Braddock, you could argue. Special teams led the way there with the blocked punt. When those South County teams won the state title, the fake punt,
might
have won that game, right? The annexation of Puerto Rico, right? Yeah. Now, right. So, what will there be that moment that we're looking at it? Nicely has a big return. Maybe they do a reverse on the kickoff return.
Right.
Maybe there's a key fake punt. Maybe there's a block punt again, an onside kick. Is there a moment or two on special teams that Madison pulls off, right? Yeah. That ends up saying when the game's over, like, it was that play. Yeah. It was that play, right? They did it against Braddock.
Yeah.
Now, what they don't want to do, they don't want to have that moment like Westfield where their special teams almost has them lose it. You don't want that.
Yeah.
So they need to win the X factor stuff.
Yeah.
To win the X factor.
And they can't turn the football. Offensively, too, they've got to stay on schedule. They can't get into 3rd and longs, right? They can't get into constant 3rd and longs. They did a fantastic job against Braddock of on first down getting, 7-8 yards and being 2nd and 2. Yep. They did a great job doing that. And
they did.
And can they make sure that they stay on schedule? Because, like he said, you've got to keep that offense off the field. The only time they've had an Achilles heel is when the teams have been able to keep that offense off the field.
Yep.
They are. I mean, from what I watched today, they are explosive. They can score from anywhere on the field. And once they get behind you, it is off the races. You're not running those kids down.
They did a great job. There's a few other moments in the Braddock game where they kept their composure and Braddock didn't.
Yes.
Now, I'm not saying if you're Braddock, they're probably saying, well, these guys were saying this, they were doing that. Well, either way, doesn't matter. Referee didn't see that, didn't notice that. He noticed the Braddock guy doing it and threw the flag. So can they do your best Kurt Rambis, right?
Yeah.
And you're as an old Laker guy, right? I think Rambis would kind of give you the business and then kind of put his hands up, right? I didn't do anything. And then Robert Parrish gets called for throwing a punch, right? So You know,
You think of Bill Lambier.
Lambier got called on it. I think everyone saw Lambier doing it, but he tried to do this after he did it, but everyone saw it. But yeah, you got my point though. Like, can they be, cause them to lose their composure?
Yeah.
Right. Madison's a very composed team.
Right.
Very
right.
composed. I'm not saying they're not giving you the funny business in a pile. Anyone could be doing that, but they come across very composed.
Yeah.
And will that lead to someone else getting a little bit out of their game and out of their head and a couple 15-yard penalties? That'll kill a drive.
And I do like the games I watch with Madison. Every now and then they know when to roll the dice. It seems like when they have they call those plays at the perfect times. I mean, they know when to roll the dice. And let's be honest, in championship game, there's going to come a point in the game for both sides where you're gonna have to have something up your sleeves, roll the dice a little bit because there is no tomorrow. You can't take that play with you into the off season.
Yeah.
So what are they gonna be able to find their mark when the right time to roll their dice?
Right. I mean, and we all hear it. You can hear Carl Weathers. You can hear Apollo Creed saying, "There is no tomorrow. There is no tomorrow." I mean, seriously, that is not so much for the Oscar Smith guys.
Yeah,
they have tomorrow and the next day because a lot of those guys have 2 more years.
Yeah,
but these Iron Maiden, and then we got Iron Maiden. We got our guy Riccadello. He's a junior actually. But a lot of those guys we've been talking about all year, Salvosa, Nicely, it goes on and on. Ambrose. I mean, you go on and on. These are seniors. These are veterans. These are guys who've been through the war.
And we've talked a little bit, right? They've been knocking at the door. They've been
right.
They keep on knocking at that door. They're right there, and this is their chance to break through. This is their chance.
Number 50, right? Our friend number 50, the center. I think he's the center. Definitely one of the linemen. That's the guy we saw outside.
Yeah.
Talking about getting chili dogs. I think it was number 50. I think that was Ari Rosenberg. Guys like that, those are seniors. Those are tough as nails guys, ready to win. They want to have that ring on their finger.
Yeah.
I don't have access to
now, does Madison have a state title in football?
You can look this up. We were talking that today in the office, and one of the coaches we were with today said they do not, but he wasn't sure. I mean, that's one of those things you got to ask.
But at the very least, it's been a while.
Stump to Schwab. Remember Stump to Schwab?
Yeah. But at the very least,
it's definitely been a while. I mean,
they have one. Right?
They have the ring. They made their appearance, but recently, but they have the ring. No, I mean, it's been a minute.
They made 2, right? They made 2 state finals appearances since these guys have been in high school.
Well, they lost to South County. I mean, sorry, did I say South County? They lost to Oscar Smith. What was the other one?
No, they lost to Freedom last year in the semis, and then they lost to Freedom before in the finals, and then they lost to.
It was Oscar Smith. Hatfield just.
Oh, Oscar Smith in the finals. So
in the finals. That was the final. The other ones were semis.
Yes. No. Freedom was in the finals.
That was the finals. It was flipped. My memory.
Remember last year they played in the semis. The year before they played in the finals. Remember they flipped the districts. Because usually
it was the year before. It was the year that Madison beat the Rojas Fairfax team.
Yes. Yeah.
That's right. I forgot they beat the Rojas Fairfax team in the state semis.
The state semis to play Freedom in the finals.
Right. That's right. Okay, you're right. You're right. The brackets were reversed as they are now. Right. So this is the year, right? This is the year. I think the one before that, the Oscar Smith one, these guys were in middle school then.
Oh, okay.
I think so. If my math is correct. Again, my math is not always correct. But it feels like maybe that's what it was. But either way, these guys they've been around, they've won, and these guys have always they've won through youth league.
Yeah.
The championship games at Waters Field. I mean, these guys, that's why I say they're composed.
Right.
And nothing rattles them.
Yeah.
So, and I was hoping to get Hatfield's pick. We didn't get the Hatfield's pick.
Yeah.
I kind of know which way he's leaning, obviously, I think. He's the king of 757. He could probably run for mayor of 757. He'd probably win.
He said he thought it was gonna be close.
Yes. And I like that. I think that's I think that could be fun. If it's a close game, it's gonna be a fun one. And to your point, you said something like you think it's either gonna be close or a big win for Oxford with one or the other.
Yeah.
Oh, there's only one other scenario in that. So you got 2 of the 3 scenarios.
2 of the 3, right?
Well, my friend, let's get into the picks here. I mean, I don't have my Swami hat. I feel like I should be wearing my Swami hat.
But you got the Christmas tree, the star in the background.
I do. I got the star, and I got my major award over here to my left.
Yeah.
So, who's going to win the major award? I don't mean this lamp. I'm talking about the other major award.
So, I've been riding with Madison, picking them week after week, but this is the week where I do not pick Madison. I watched Oscar Smith. You know, I think Oscar Smith's going to win. I like Oscar Smith on Saturday. I would not be surprised Madison would. That would shock me because I think they play a tough, physical style of football. But the thing that plays into Oscar Smith's hands is they play the run really well, and that's the one thing Madison does really well as well. So it might cancel each other out. And the other thing was, the big game that why am I drawing a blank on the second time what the Braddock receiver? Why am I drawing a blank on 3?
Kai Austin.
Kai Austin. He had a pretty big game.
He did.
And so did Robert Holine.
He did.
And all credit to those two kids. Those two kids are both excellent players. You know, Kai Austin's playing at William and Mary. The Oscar Smith receiver is going on a recruiting trip to Michigan this year, and the other one's going to Buffalo. So I just, you know, yeah, I'm taking Oscar Smith.
Okay. Well, let me tell you something, buddy.
I'm sure I'm going to get a meme right now of
hey, you're darn right. You deserve it. Let me tell you something. I don't want to see you. You don't look at her. You don't even think about it. I don't want to see you in Madison. I don't want to see you in Vienna. I don't want to see you on Maple Avenue. I don't want to see you at Waters Field. I don't want to see you at anywhere. The new bagel spot that just opened over in Vienna. I don't want to.
I can't get a chili dog from Vienna in.
No Vienna in. No call your mother. Great bagel spot, by the way. You're not. No, you can't come. No more great American restaurants for you. Nothing. Now, let me tell you what's going to happen.
All right, break it down for me.
Madison, and if you're listening, it's going to be a tough game. You know, decent weather, 40s, low 40s, no rain. Madison wins. Madison wins this game 10 points. By 10 points. Madison comes in this
double
game,
digits.
And they bring the ring back to Northern Virginia where it belongs. Where it belongs. It doesn't belong in Southern Virginia. We pay the rent in this state. We're paying, you know what? They're bringing it back to Northern Virginia, my friend.
Okay.
This is where it belongs. They're going to bring it back to Gatehouse. They're going to bring that trophy back. Maybe not a Gatehouse. They're going to bring it somewhere. They're going to hang it in John Kenny's office over in they're going
to crawl they're going to climb to the top of the water tower.
The water tower. They're going to go to the water tower in Vienna and they're going to say, "This one's for you, John. This one's for John." Look, I'm telling you, this is a Madison team that, like Matt was saying, it's not like the Madison team before.
Yeah,
I mean these are seniors. They're tough. They got a guy like Nicely who's kind of a do-it-all guy, right?
Yeah.
Little like a Marshall Falk, right? Can kind of go Roger Craig to you, the Niners fan, kind of guy you can move around, right? Yeah. Like a Swiss Army knife. I'm telling you, this is a team. You mix a Swiss Army knife with a composed quarterback. I know he's not 6'8", and he doesn't have, and he's not running a 4.2 40 and all that stuff. But I'll take someone like Yates, a composed quarterback. Joe Montana, not the biggest guy, not the strongest arm, but composed in the big moments. You're a Joe Montana guy.
I am.
Yeah, well, Yates is our Montana. I'm Madison. Warhawks, baby. Warhawks. Guess who's going to Vienna and getting free food at Vienna Inn? This guy. Guess who's going to run for mayor of Vienna?
Against him like 2 weeks in a row.
Yeah, you know what? But those days are done. It's America. We have short memories in America. Okay? We have what matters now is that I am picking Madison now. Now let's play some football. This is it. This is the one we've been waiting for. Bringing the trophy back to Northern Virginia.
Do you think the audience caught on that we always pick the opposite team?
I don't know. I don't know. But I feel strongly that the title is coming back where it belongs, to Northern Virginia.
Well, we'll see. We'll see.
We will see, buddy. We will see. You can take that bet to the Fairfax MGM, and you can stuff it, brother.
Should be a great game.
Our new mugs, by the way.
Should be a great game.
It's going to be fun. Now, brings me to my next piece there. People are asking, they're blowing us up, saying, you guys going to the game? Are you guys going to the game? We're probably not. Look, I'm going to be honest. I wrote Mike McGaw at the at VHSL. We wrote him a nice email, very friendly email, very nice as could be, actually. One of the nicest emails I've ever written, probably. And no response. No response. None. Not even a no. Sorry, we're full. Can't let you in. We're full. No more houses left in Tuscany.
Not even a how do you do, huh?
Not even a how are you doing? Nothing. So, and I was going to declare war on the VHSL today, but I'm not. This time of year. It's a peaceful time of year. It's Christmas time, right? Happy and all that stuff, and merry and all that, right? Jingle bells and ho ho ho's and all that stuff. Look, let bygones be bygones. But at the same time, we will be going live. We will be doing a live. And unfortunately, now we have to draw anybody who's going to watch, maybe watch that, whatever they're going to air it on, right? I don't know what kind of streaming they're going to air it on, but we're going to have to steal some of those people now. Now people are going to watch our show.
Yeah.
Because now we are going to go live, and we're going to give you the kind of act you can't get watching Mike McCall. You can't get that. You're going to get the action from us right here.
Yeah.
This is what you want, right? Nova football like nobody else. And maybe we'll bring on a bunch of guests.
Maybe.
Like last time. We had D coordinators who had played both teams. We had O coordinators. We had head coaches. We're going to bring a laundry list of guests, Hall of Fame guests, some of them future Hall of Famers, some. And we'll talk about the game. The kind of breakdown you can't get anywhere else on game day.
Yeah. Where else can you get that kind of action?
No, and they had their chance. Mike McCall had a chance to have us there, sitting sideline, sitting in the booth, and instead, what a shame. We'll be in the comfort of our own homes. What a shame. What a shame. With these mugs.
Put the mug.
Maybe a little hot cocoa in there, something like that, right? I know you don't drink coffee.
I was thinking about, so had I been able to, I was gonna make some hot cocoa and
hot cocoa. You go hot chocolate or hot cocoa? What do you call it? Or Ovaltine?
Ovaltine's not hot chocolate though. Ovaltine's
it's like a cousin of hot chocolate. So they're related to
it. I mean, I don't know, hot cocoa. I guess that's where you go. Hot cocoa.
Hot cocoa. Look at that. You're a Christmas guy. Hot cocoa.
Yeah. Put a little salt in there. Little pinch of salt.
Okay. Well, I like that. A little salt, offset the sweetness a little bit.
Yeah.
That's a smart move. Smart move. Look at that. Well, buddy, man, I was getting going there for a second. I was excited. I'm excited right now. Can we get the game right now?
The next time, actually, we'll do it live. But the next time we do a recording, we will know who the state champion in Virginia is.
You're right. Next time we do our show, well, not necessarily. Next time we do our show, we'll be live and we'll be.
Yeah, but I mean, next time we do it, because we'll do a season wrap up and we'll know who
you're right. After the season wrap up, we will know who the champion of all champions is. Who's the unified champion? Yeah. Unified.
And there are some jobs that are open. We might know who some new head coaches are. There are some jobs that are open. We might know.
Jobs are opening right now as we speak.
Yeah.
There are jobs open. There are jobs opening. I mean, I know we have an inside.
Maybe we've done a good job that some coaches out there will reach out because they'll be like, I need those guys on my staff.
I look, there are people want the all Hitches guys, calling their offense, calling their defense, calling everything. We don't have time for that right now. Right now, we are men who are dedicated to our craft. And we have a show to finish. We have a season to finish. The same way you can't bother a coach who's preparing for the state final. You can't bother these two analysts who are preparing for the state final.
How awesome would it be to come out at the stands and start calling a state championship game? They're like, oh, man, our coordinators have gotten sick. Where can we go? And all of a sudden, the theme music comes on.
Yes.
That's no style. The real American music comes on. Little Hulk Hogan. You come run out from behind the curtain.
The Ultimate Warrior theme song.
Oh, that was maybe one of the highlight of my youth watching wrestling was that SummerSlam. Remember, it was like the first match of SummerSlam. And Honky Tonk Man came out, and I forgot who he was supposed to fight. I don't care who it is. I don't care who it is.
Anybody in the back. Give me Eddie Ham and Edgar in the back.
Yeah, I remember vividly. I was like in like the 7th grade, and I remember I was sitting. We actually did get the pay-per-view view of that one. I remember my dad got it, and so it was me and a bunch of friends sitting there eating pizza, watching it, and then the dun, and you're like, oh, came out, and it was probably the worst match of all time, which took all of 10 seconds.
He got the belt, and that's how he ended up getting the unified belts because he won the Intercontinental from him, and then he ended up beating Hogan later on.
Hogan years later, though, he was Intercontinental champ for a while.
He was. But yeah, look, to your point, next time we talk, I think we'll be a little more free to talk about stuff. A lot of there are some vacancies that are opening up right now throughout Nova.
Yeah.
Good coaches who, some are leaving on their own, some are resigning, et cetera, et cetera.
If PSAs were smart, they'd call us. Say, hey, who do you think I should hire? They could tell us the names.
Well,
if they were smart, they would call us.
To your point, you're not wrong. No, you're not wrong. If I was, someone making a hire, I would reach out to me or you, and I'd say, hey, look, off the record, that's the most important part. And you and I, there are plenty of things off the record that we do not discuss on air. You and I both know. My God.
Not the things we know off the record.
I know. That's what I'm saying. So, yeah, and we don't do that. We're actually very respectful with stuff. But knowing that we are, very respectful with stuff, I would ask us, because we, like you said, we've studied so much Nova football this year. My God.
Yeah.
About so many teams. And I would definitely say, hey, look, and not that I would live and die, but what we said. But if I'm crossing all my, T's and dotting all my I's, I might say, hey, look, let me see what these guys think off the record. Hey, what do you guys think about so-and-so at school, interview for a job here off the record? What do you think? And it might trash what we said, but I'd at least listen to it.
Yeah, no, I agree.
No one knows Nova, and no one circles the wagons better than the All Hitches podcast.
No one.
We really do circle the wagons better than anybody.
Yeah.
People are asking us again, are you going to do different sports? No, we're not doing different sports.
Unless you want awful other sports takes.
Right. We want to talk about football. We're here about football. We're looking forward in the off season. And we can give you like a little salt of each sport, but that's about it. We're here to talk about football. We're going to, like you said, we're getting ready to do we're going to close the season off next week. And then we're going to start talking about off-season stuff, man. We're going to start talking about, we're going to have our draft.
Oh, we do have our draft.
Then we're going to start talking about college commitments and colleges and why Nova. I mean, we want to bring in some of these coaches and ask them, why Nova. And we got a laundry list of things to talk about. We'll talk about some of the rules and things that need to be put in place. A lot of things.
Things that need to be changed, divisions, playoffs, lots of things that need to be fixed.
A lot of things, man. A lot of things.
I'm excited.
Well, my friend. So here we go, buddy. I will see you I'll see you obviously next time at work.
I'll see you tomorrow.
But the next time we see each other here,
yes,
we're going to be getting ready for some football, buddy. About 5 o'clock kickoff. So I think 4:30. Yeah. We'll start. We'll kind of get ready, start getting the get the game on the screen, and start sending the invites to our very important guests we're going to have on our Dash and Dan cast.
Yeah,
you got the Manning cast, you got the Dash and Dan cast. I'm more of a Dash and Dan cast kind of guy.
As you should be,
right? Maybe we'll have Dash and Dan sandwiches while we watch the Dash and Dan cast.
Oh, maybe, yeah.
It's that time, my friend. I think it's that time.
Yeah.
All right, buddy. Well, it's been fun. And soon we'll do it all again.
Yep.
For no Carl Frederick today, and he was missed.
Yes.
He was missed. He'll be back. He'll be joining us for the live cast, hopefully. But thanks again to Matt Hatfield, the best in the business, for
that was awesome.
And talking football.
So appreciate it.
Yeah, man. And we'll see you guys next time on All Hitches.
See you.